Hi, everybody. My name is Kimberly, and I'd like to tell you a story and the reason why I have decided to join the American Autoimmune Related Disease Association. I'd like to begin by telling you my story, and I hope that you all don't mind that I read it because it's a lot to remember. So here goes. My story begins in the year 1978. I woke up one morning and could not get out of bed, as I cannot move my legs or my left arm, and I'm only 18 years old. I went to the hospital, was admitted for a week, only to be discharged by the hospital with no diagnosis except that I still have psoriasis as well as psoriatic arthritis, which started at age 13. Several weeks go by, and I'm getting worse. I have raised red nodules on the shins of my legs below my knees. I'm back in a different hospital, and they had put towels on my legs. They had taken pictures of my legs so that they could put in a medical book. My legs were warm to the touch, and they were very painful. The doctors were baffled and sent me home again with no diagnosis. Does it sound familiar? After being home for a few weeks of horrific pain, I was finally carried in bodily by my father and again admitted to a different hospital. The doctors tell my parents that they think that there may be fluid in my ankles because they're so swollen and that I'll never walk again. But thank God there was no fluid, and I was able to walk. Again, I was discharged again with no diagnosis. So they thought that it could have been polio or rheumatic fever, so I spent the next 9 months in a wheelchair because I just couldn't walk. Now, it's the year 1995. I gave birth to my second son, C-section. During this 3-day experience, the only symptoms that I had at this time were severe tremors after the birth of my son. I had a severe headache. The nurse said it was normal to have these tremors after a C-section. I didn't agree. These tremors were involuntary and very uncontrollable. They had given me Ativan to control these tremors. Finally, my husband and I left the hospital, and we took our baby home. 2 nights later, after being home, I had went back to the ER as I had this severe headache still, and my blood pressure was up. The doctors gave me a CAT scan, and they gave me Demerol, and they sent me home. They said I was fine. I knew I was not. The very next day, I literally woke up feeling like I actually had a head in the bed. I could not feel my body parts, especially from the neck down to my toes. I had no control of the movements. I was numb from the neck down and unable to walk without assistance. Today I've learned what I experienced has a name, and this name is proprioception. And this is actually a major symptom of MS for those MSers who do not know what this is, and maybe could learn about it, because sometimes somebody may have this and not recognize what it is. At this point, my speech started to slur. My husband drove me back to the hospital. By the time I entered the emergency room, I had absolutely no vision. I was blind within hours, and I was paralyzed. I could not respond to any doctor's commands because I did not know how. Yet I could hear every word that they said. After being admitted for weeks, and after undergoing many, many tests and having had nitroglycerin put under my tongue every few hours, the only diagnosis that I received was that I had postpartum psychosis and that I needed a psychiatrist. Although I remember a neurologist checking my balance before I was discharged, and because I had a slight responding reflex, he said I was fine. Yet, I still could not see or walk correctly, so I had no perception of time or space or where I was. I couldn't drive a car because I didn't know how. I couldn't go back to work because I didn't even know what that was, like it was never even learned. I had to rely on my husband and everyone for everything that had to do with thinking. As time went by, my vision finally did come back as tunnel and mirror-like vision. Also was like backwards, kind of like a clock turned around backwards. But I was also discharged from the hospital with a 1 milligram prescription of Ativan that I had to take 3 times a day for these tremors that they never figured out what they were caused by. But they did calm the tremors. They helped a lot. But I did listen to the doctor's recommendations, and I did go see a psychiatrist and had neuropsychological testing done. In fact, I had 2 of them. It was the psychiatrist, actually, who said that I had every symptom of MS and suggested that I see an MS specialist. So I made an appointment to see an MS specialist who finally diagnosed me with multiple sclerosis. Secondary multiple sclerosis, and he was also very upset at the doctors that had read the previous MRIs, which I had a stack probably about that thick, as it had said that I had MS all along, but none of them could actually say the word, I guess, multiple sclerosis, or that I even had it. I don't even think that these doctors had any idea what they were looking at. So, in June of 2001, I was told by the MS specialist that I had a secondary disease called multiple sclerosis, along with other autoimmune diseases such as psoriatic arthritis. I also have lupus. I also have Sjogren's, uveitis, scleritis. I was diagnosed in 1978 with sarcoidosis, erythema nodosum. I had to undergo speech and cognitive therapy for 3 years and had to be detoxed from a medication called Ativan, as I was now addicted to, by a doctor's prescription, and for the tremors. That was now shutting down my digestive system. And I was taking up to 18 milligrams a day. So the reason I'm making this video is I feel that telling my story may benefit others who may be experiencing or have already experienced the same kind of situation. I'm also telling my story so that I may one day save someone's life. One doctor wrote a letter to my psychiatrist that he had spent over an hour counseling me on my symptoms and complaints. Others said it was all in my head. I'll bet that sounds familiar. Since my diagnosis of MS, I had been diagnosed with immune thrombocytopenia purpura, as well as blepharitis. Today, I have become a self-educated volunteer support group leader for a nonprofit organization called the American Autoimmune Related Disease Association. That's www.aarda.org. You can also find us on Facebook and Twitter. We now have a support group in the local Detroit area, Clinton Township. Meetings are held once a month, March through November, Thursday evenings from 7 to 9. We're located at the Henry Ford Medical Pavilion, 4th floor. That's 16151 19 Mile Road in Hayes, Clinton Township, Michigan, 48038, 4th floor, room 3. We look forward to seeing you all. If you have any problems or you'd like to get a hold of us, please contact the American Autoimmune Disease Association at 1-586-776-3900 or 586-741-9918. Again, my name is Kimberly, and I hope that I have encouraged you all to hopefully come to these support group meetings, as there are over 100 autoimmune diseases, and diabetes, vasculitis, scleroderma, Sjogren's, Raynaud's, telangiectasias, calcinosis, ulcerative colitis, Crohn's. The list goes on. And for a complete list of these diseases, you can also visit www.aarda.org to see if your disease is on the list. I hope to see you at the meetings. I hope you share this video. You might be able to save someone's life. This is what I do. I enjoy doing it because I am tired of going through all the red tape. I hope that we can make a difference, and I hope that you'll join me in making a difference together. I hope that we can make this disease a new disease category rather than a singular disease category, such as multiple sclerosis or lupus or, say, scleroderma, for instance. Not to disrespect any of these disease categories, but they are related. They are genetic, they are environmental, and they are hereditary. And I just would like to bring more awareness so that we can find a cause and get more research to find out what's causing it rather than find a treatment. So thank you so much for watching my video, and I hope to see you all there. Thank you. Bye-bye.